what other 21-year-old gets dropped off in Alaska to do a backcountry caribou hunt? Where did that come from in you, Dan? Like, where is it something about how you grew up as a child? Is it something you think you were just born with? Where does that desire, not only for exploration, but then the drive to actually execute it come from?
I think I just got a taste of it, and just enough, just kind of like a hit, a little bump of wilderness and feeling alive and feeling scared all at the same time. My dad took me hunting when I was little, but I got hunter safety test when I was 10, rifle hunted a little bit. And then as soon as sports hit, as you guys know, in junior high and high school, like hunting no longer was on the radar. So I didn't hunt at all from age 13 to 19. It was all about baseball, football, wrestling. But the seed was planted. I had a lot of good experiences with my dad, just me and him in the mountains. I don't remember the animals or any of that. I just remember being with him and enjoying our time and loving being outside. So much so that when I was 19 and I graduated high school and I was a freshman in college, I'm like, I don't have I could hunt again. I'm hunting again. And so I give my dad all the credit in the world for just not forcing on me, but just allowing me to go tag along enough to really just invigorate me to where I'm so passionate about being anywhere, any wild landscape. I'm a happy guy if I can just be outside.
I think part of where you get hooked has to be hardwired. Like it's an innate thing we all have. And hey, that's kind of the root of the name Born Primitive, the brand, right? So I think you're merely just tapping into, an instinct we already have. And we had another guest named Michael Easter on here, and he's a best-selling author, and he kind of has studied all of this. And one of the kind of takeaways he had was that, spending time in nature has just crazy, crazy benefits to just our mental health. And I'm sure you've been able to experience it. You probably come out of the field, one, exhausted, but probably also euphoric and, just like you're calm, anxiety's gone away, you know what I mean? You're relaxed. And I think for most of us that are stuck in the hamster wheel, like we have to make more of an effort to try to get in nature, even if you're not going to go hunting, go to some national park and hang, sleep in a tent for 3 days and be by yourself or your significant other, whatever. But it's so cool. You've been able to experience, you got hooked early, because I would imagine like for the last 20 years of your life, that has, whether you've realized it or not, crazy positive benefits to your mental health. And of course, having a passion and a hobby is so critical. I think especially for men, once we get out of playing sports, or if you leave a military unit and you know what I mean, you need something to fill that void. When you still have that beast inside of you. So, you being dropped off in Alaska in the middle of nowhere. It's wild, but it's awesome. And this is all new to me too. Like the fact that I didn't realize the success rate was so low, particularly again, because we're spoiled because we're working with like dudes like you and Aaron, right? Like Aaron is just like an absolute savage. I had my buddy, he was in Colorado for 2 weeks, one of my military teammates, and he was in the field for 15 days. And I just assumed he would have got a bull, right? And he was like, oh no, he's like, I think he only saw like a couple from like really far away. And I'm like, wait a second, you were just by yourself in the field for 15 days and you saw like 2 bulls like the whole time.
Yeah. And
he's like, no, dude, that's kind of how it is. And that's just wild to me. Cause I didn't know that. I just figured like, you get in there and, you just kind of use some dead space and stalk up and like eventually you're going to find one, but that is obviously far from the case. So mad respect, man. And that's awesome. I mean, I can imagine you just being on a beach in a 1-man tent or a bivy sack and you got grizzly prints like all around you, like absolutely wild. You didn't even have a sat phone, like maniac, dude.
Yeah, Dan, walk us through, like, I would love to hear, and I'm sure it's changed because you're 24 years into this, but you just described kind of the dark of the eye awakening experience of like, oh shit, like I'm waking up, I'm sleeping here and I'm about to hike in the pitch dark in the middle of nowhere. Can you broaden that a little bit? And you could do whether when you started to now, because I'm sure it has changed, to kind of the range of emotions, let's say on like a 2-week backcountry hunt that you feel, because I'm sure there's moments of feeling extremely connected to nature, but then is there a loneliness even in that short 2-week period that sets in? And can you kind of talk through how you navigate that and what that range actually looks like for you?
Yeah. Okay. Let's do that. One thing you said, Bear, was like, yeah, like in September, that's like my Super Bowl. It's when I go elk hunting. And I'm gone. Like last year, I literally was never home in September. And I have a family. I have kids and an amazing family. And it's hard. And I'll get into that. But when I show up October 1st, I haven't seen my kids in a month, my wife. I am physically depleted. Like, I lose 15 pounds, and I don't have 15 pounds to lose. And I am just completely depleted, yet I am the fullest I've ever been. I have been completely disconnected from my cell phone and notifications from emails and business and socials. None of that for 30 days. And it's like a restoration of balance. And there is clarity, like significant clarity that I want for everyone, however they get it. I want them to have a little bit of that. If I could bottle up that and distribute it, because that's why I love September more than anything, is the connection with the creator and a disconnection from the world. And I want that for everybody. And it's getting more elusive for all of us as these smart devices seem to own us and follow us everywhere we go. So getting this thing out of your life and thinking and pondering what really matters, because like, to bring it back to your question, Tony, like, you don't elk hunt 24 hours a day on a 10-day hunt. Like, you hunt when it's legal shooting light, and there's more dark hours than there are daylight hours. So you're by yourself in a bivvy or in a tent in the middle of nowhere to your own thoughts. And to be honest, you're not thinking about, what am I going to do tomorrow? How am I going to kill that elk? That's a part of it, maybe while you're eating dinner. But when you're by yourself, which is, I primarily hunt solo, this is the time for reflection. And this is the time to think about what, like, your gift of life and where you're kind of falling short and what changes you need to make to be a better man, to be a better husband, a better father, a better leader of your business or your home. So like, dude, there's so much more value to hunting than just getting that elk meat back to the freezer. It's like, it's a complete reset. And I will say the last part, which is maybe a little too truthful, is like, when you're by yourself and if you have any skeletons in the closet, man, if you've done some shit you're not proud of, don't think that stuff's not going to come up too in reflection. Like, you're going to really get a good look at your trajectory, and then you maybe have an opportunity to readjust that course just because you had that time to reflect.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's like guys like you have hacked what we all should be doing, right? Like, it kind of gave me chills thinking about it, because there is so much reflection. I remember, like, we were up in Alaska doing some training, and you know, we were doing kind of survival stuff, so we had to keep a fire going, and you would draw like a 4-hour fire watch in the middle of the night. And I remember just sitting there, it's 2:00 in the morning, everyone else is trying to sleep in this little structure we made, and I'm on fire watch, just staring at this fire. We're, you know, on some island in Kodiak, Alaska, and you have literally 4 hours just to sit there, and you're just hearing the crackle and pop, and you hear everything around you, and that you go back to those thoughts. You start reflecting on your life up to that point, and it's so cool, man. And the fact that you're able to do that for a month, and for me, I'm fascinated because I haven't been able to figure this out on a personal level, you know, and you are an entrepreneur and you have started your own business. So to me, it's fascinating that you're able to shut it all down for a month, one with the business, right? So you must set it up in a way where it's like, all right, I'm out for a month. You know, I've kind of given my marching orders and it's going to run on autopilot. But also to the balance and expectation with your family, where they know, I'm assuming they now understand how passionate you are about it. And they give you the grace to go do that. And we've talked about this in some podcasts before of how critical it is to kind of fill your own cup, because then you're a better version for those around you once you fill your cup up, right? And if you're always giving, and you're never doing things for yourself, you eventually might become, you know, someone that's a bit resentful and bitter. And particularly with the busy parents, you know, talking to especially the single parents out there, the ones that they got 4 kids running around, and they literally never are able to do anything for themselves because they're always taking their kids to practice and this and that. I think there's an argument to be made that sometimes you have to be a bit selfish, because on the back end, it'll actually make you, you know, better for those around you. And you know, maybe I'm misconstruing that, but I would imagine that's a conscious thing that happens with you and your family. And then when you come back, you're like, all right, dad's good for a while. He got his fill. Now it's family time. I'm present, but kind of coming back reinvigorated. And so, I mean, I'm jealous, man. You get to be out there that long.